5 Quiet Habits of the Stoically Unbreakable. It was always in the quiet moments that he remembered who he truly was, not during the applause, not when people praised his stoicism or admired his control, but in the early mornings, before the birds began to argue with the wind, before the world remembered it had somewhere to be. He would sit alone, barefoot, beside the hearth's last breath of warmth and listen. There in the silence, his habits spoke louder than his words ever could. This is not the story of a grand hero. It is not the tale of a philosopher king or a marble statue of Marcus Aurelius standing tall against the chaos of life. No, this is the story of someone much quieter, perhaps someone like you, someone who learned that true power, true mastery, does not come from noise but from inner stillness, from restraint, from the discipline to be silent when the world screams. The Stoics, those ancient architects of inner strength, did not preach to be loud. They lived, they practiced, they mastered themselves. And within that quiet mastery they became unshakable. What you are about to read are 5 silent habits, not because they are weak or passive, but because they are powerful beyond measure. These are the invisible practices that make ordinary people extraordinary. These are the foundations of the Stoic's calm gaze, his unwavering steps, his quiet invincibility. This is the path of the one who is unstoppable, not because he defeats others, but because he has conquered himself. Habit 1. Emotional restraint, the silent armor. The first habit is not a loud one. It doesn't roar or boast. It doesn't win applause. It simply endures. It absorbs. It chooses not to react. Emotional restraint, the ability to master your responses even when your emotions are screaming, is the silent armor of the Stoic. It is forged not in easy days but in the furnace of irritation, insult, and injury. Imagine a man walking through a marketplace. Someone bumps into him spilling his goods. The crowd waits for anger, for a shout, but he simply gathers his items, nods silently, and walks on. Is he weak? No. He is stronger than the one who lashes out, because he has chosen power over impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The Stoic does not deny emotion. He simply does not become enslaved by it. He recognizes that a surge of anger is a guest, not a ruler. That sadness, fear, envy, they are visitors, not masters. Emotional restraint is not suppression. It is transformation. It is the practice of turning anger into clarity, sorrow into insight, restlessness into resolve. And this restraint often speaks in silence. It shows itself in the moment you breathe instead of react, in the pause between stimulus and response, in the slight smile when others would frown, in the deliberate walk away from argument. It is the strength of the man who does not retaliate, the woman who does not explain, the child who learns to let go. To cultivate emotional restraint is to reclaim your sovereignty. It is to stop being a puppet of moods and instead become the master of yourself. It begins in small moments. The rude waiter, the missed train, the criticism from someone who doesn't know your journey. And it grows like calluses on the soul, not to harden but to strengthen. The world does not need your rage, it needs your calm. Practice this first silent habit. and you become not a statue, but a storm held still in human form. Habit 2. Invisible integrity, the quiet guide. The second silent habit is integrity, not the kind paraded in speeches or posted on walls, but the invisible kind. The one that acts when no one is watching. The one that whispers, "Do what is right, not what is easy." The Stoic knows that a life of virtue is not lived under the spotlight. It is lived in the shadows of unseen decisions, in the return of extra change given by mistake, in the message you never send, in the temptation you quietly resist. Integrity is the compass you carry when no map is given. It does not shout. It does not need witnesses. It simply acts rightly, because to do so is its own reward. Seneca once said, "A good character when established becomes easy to maintain." It grows into habit. But how do you build it? By the small, unnoticed choices, not taking credit for something you didn't do, not exaggerating your story to sound better, not judging someone harshly in your thoughts. Imagine a woman who returns a wallet full of money without leaving her name, or a man who declines praise for work his teammate did. Their integrity is not loud, but it is unbreakable. The Stoic understands that the world may never know what you did, but you will. And the opinion that shapes your soul most is your own. Invisible integrity is not a performance. It is alignment between what you value and how you act, between who you are when seen and who you are in solitude. Practice this second silent habit, and you will no longer fear being found out, because nothing is hidden from your own heart. And that, more than anything, will make you unstoppable. Habit 3. Relentless stillness, the power of the pause. The third silent habit may be the least glamorous, but perhaps the most misunderstood. Stillness. Not the stillness of inactivity, but the stillness of clarity. The kind that listens longer before responding, that watches before deciding. The stillness that sits at the center of a storm, not because the storm has ended, but because something deeper has anchored. The Stoics knew that movement without purpose is chaos, that action without understanding is noise. And so, they trained themselves not only in discipline and logic, but in the rare art of waiting. Stillness is not doing nothing. It is doing one thing well. It is the ability to pause before reply, to breathe before action, to reflect before engagement. It is the refusal to be swept away by the urgent in favor of the essential. In the modern world, where urgency screams and speed is currency, stillness is rebellion. To be calm in a culture of reaction is to be powerful beyond comprehension. Picture a leader who listens more than he speaks. Picture a mother who chooses patience over panic. Picture a craftsman who sands the wood one more time when others would call it finished. These are portraits of relentless stillness, not laziness, but deliberate, grounded presence. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because pausing often looks like hesitation. Stillness is mistaken for indecision, but only those anchored deeply can afford to appear unmoved. This habit, this practice, is forged not in silence alone, but in restraint amidst motion, in choosing not to be ruled by tempo but by timing, in mastering rhythm, not just reaction. Practice this third silent habit and the world may call you slow, but it will also begin to move around you, because while others scramble, you will see. While others chase, you will choose. And that, in the end, is the power that cannot be. Habit 4. Humble preparation, the quiet work no one sees. The fourth habit doesn't glitter. It doesn't come with applause or medals, but it builds empires of character in the unseen hours. Humble preparation is the decision to be ready long before you're asked to perform. It's the silent hours you spend honing your craft when no one is watching, rehearsing in solitude, studying while others scroll, showing up to the inner gym when there's no race in sight. Stoics believed in living according to nature and reason. Nature teaches us that seasons change, and preparation is what bridges survival and success. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for hardship to test his principles. He journaled. He trained his mind. He examined his motives every day. And so, when difficulty arrived, it didn't find him unready. There is a quiet nobility in those who prepare without promise, in those who learn not to impress but to grow, in those who, when opportunity arrives, don't scramble, they simply step forward. Humble preparation is the antidote to arrogance. It whispers, "I don't need recognition to be valuable." It teaches patience because greatness grows slowly. It teaches presence because the work is the reward. Imagine a Stoic blacksmith. He hammers steel not for an order but to perfect the swing. He sharpens not because a sword is needed, but because a dull blade is a silent danger. He prepares not because of fear, but because discipline is love in action. You won't see the results of this habit at first. There's no flash, no immediate win, but time, that great truth-teller, will reveal it. Practice humble preparation, and you will never fear the test, because you will already have passed it in the silence of your own making. Habit 5. Gracious detachment, the quiet freedom within. The final habit is a paradox. The more you hold on, the more you suffer. But when you let go, not from apathy but from clarity, you become free. Gracious detachment is not coldness. It is not giving up. It is holding life with open hands, not clenched fists. It is loving people but not owning them, working hard but not worshiping the outcome, showing up fully while knowing that nothing is truly yours. The Stoics taught this as apatheia, a state of being undisturbed by what we cannot control. Not indifferent but inwardly independent. Epictetus reminded us, some things are up to us and some things are not. This habit frees you from the tyranny of obsession. It allows you to rest, even as you strive, to remain grounded, even when everything shifts, to smile when you win and bow when you lose, without either defining who you are. Picture a Stoic gardener. He plants with care. He waters with devotion, but he does not command the sun or the rain. When harvest comes, he rejoices. When drought comes, he learns. Either way, he continues to tend. Gracious detachment is the space between effort and ego. It is the breath between action and attachment. It is the wisdom to say, I gave my best and I release the rest. Practice this fifth silent habit and peace will become your default. Not because life is easy, but because you no longer fight what isn't yours to hold. Let go, not to lose, but to return to what no one can ever take. Your quiet, unwavering self. Conclusion: the echo of silence. In a world addicted to noise, the quiet ones build legacies. You've now walked through 5 habits that don't shout, don't sparkle, and don't beg for attention. Yet in their silence, they hold a thunderous truth. That strength is not in domination but in discipline. That power is not in performance but in presence. The Stoic walks among us unnoticed. He listens more than he speaks. He prepares when no one asks. He lets go of what others cling to. He steps back while others step forward, and yet when the moment calls, he arrives ready, poised, unshakable. These silent habits are not tactics, they are transformations. They do not make you look unstoppable. They make you be unstoppable. So now the path is yours. Return to the quiet, to the practice, to the pause, and let your days be guided not by the volume of the world, but by the steady drumbeat of your own inner command. The Stoics never needed to be seen to be strong. Neither do you. If this video resonated with your quiet strength, let the algorithm rest. Hit subscribe if you want more reflections like this, shared in silence, not noise. Type "still" in the comments if you're walking this path with us. And share this with one person who's building their power quietly just like you. Until then, stay steady, stay silent, stay strong.